What if most education begins in the wrong place? What if the first question is not, what should we teach, but rather, who is the child? The question sits at the center of Rudolf Steiner's The Study of Man, the foundational teacher training course that gave birth to Waldorf education. Today, we're going deep. We're going to explore Steiner's understanding of child development, thinking, feeling, and willing, imagination, movement, freedom, and why many Waldorf educators still consider this the single most important educational text Steiner ever delivered. Let's begin. Part 1. The big question: what is a human being? Steiner believed education had a problem. Schools focused on information, but they often forgot the learner. A curriculum can be perfect on paper, a lesson plan can be flawless, but if we don't understand the child, we cannot teach effectively. Steiner's first principle is simple: before teaching subjects, understand human development. The child is not merely a brain, the child is physical, emotional, intellectual, social, creative, spiritual. Education must serve the development of the whole person, not merely the intellect. This idea alone radically changes education. Part 2: Thinking, Feeling, and Willing. One of Steiner's most important contributions is his description of three fundamental capacities of the human being: thinking, feeling, and willing. Modern education often emphasizes thinking, memorization, analysis, testing, information. But Steiner argued that healthy development requires balance. Thinking helps us understand, feeling helps us connect, willing helps us act. A complete education develops all three. Ask yourself, can a child solve problems? Can a child appreciate beauty? Can a child follow through and act? If one of these capacities is neglected, development becomes imbalanced. Steiner wanted education to cultivate capable human beings, not simple, knowledgeable ones. Part 3: The developmental stages of childhood. Perhaps the most famous aspect of the study of man is Steiner's description of childhood development. He saw childhood unfolding in major phases. Each phase has a different needs, different strengths, different ways of learning. Let's explore them. Brings us to part 4: birth to age 7. Steiner observed that young children learn primarily through imitation, not through explanation, not through lectures, not through abstract concepts, through imitation. Children watch, children absorb, children copy. The environment teaches constantly. The adults teach constantly. We intend to or not, young children learn through movement, play, rhythm, repetition, practical activity, sensory experience. This is why Waldorf education places so much emphasis on storytelling, free play, household work, gardening, baking, and artistic activity. Young children learn through doing, not through intellectual analysis. The teacher's examples matter more than the teacher's words. Part 5: Ages 7 to 14. As children grow, something changes. The emotional life expands. The imagination blossoms. Children become deeply responsive to beauty, stories, art, music, nature, symbol, myth, heroic examples. Steiner believed this period should be nourished through living images rather than dry facts. Why? Because images feed the imagination, and imagination becomes the bridge towards later understanding. A child who first experiences wonder will eventually seek truth. A child who only receives facts may never develop wonder. This stage is called artistic teaching, teaching that speaks to the heart, not just the head. Part 6: Ages 14 to 21. Adolescence. Adolescence marks another shift. Now, now independent thinking awakens. Young people begin asking, why? Is this true? What do I believe? What makes sense? This is the proper age for critical thinking, debate, scientific inquiry, independent judgment, philosophical discussion. Steiner believed that real intellectual freedom begins here, not because young people are told what to think, but because they learn how to think. The teacher gradually becomes less of an authority figure and more of a guide. Part 7. The importance of movement. One of the most overlooked ideas in modern education is Steiner's understanding of movement. He believed movement forms the foundation for thinking. Before children can think clearly, they must move. They must balance. They must climb. They must run. They must build. They must interact with the physical world. This insight is increasingly supported by modern neuroscience. Movement develops neural pathways. Coordination supports cognition. The body and mind develop together. Education should never happen only from the neck up. Part 8. Why imagination matters. Steiner did not see imagination as fantasy. He saw imagination as a developmental power. Every invention begins as imagination. Every work of art begins as imagination. Every scientific breakthrough began as imagination. Imagination allows us to see possibilities before they exist. This is why stories matter. This is why fairy tales matter. This is why myths matter. Not because they are literally true, but because they nourish the inner life. Imagination helps prepare the soul for future thinking. Part 9. The teacher as an artist. One of Steiner's most beautiful ideas is that teaching itself is an art. A great teacher does not simply transfer information. A great teacher creates experiences. The classroom becomes a living work of art. There is rhythm, movement, beauty, surprise, engagement, connection. Steiner believed teaching requires creativity every day. No script can replace a teacher's living relationship with students. Teaching is both science and art, but it becomes transformative when it becomes art. Part 10. The power of observation. Throughout the study of man, Steiner repeatedly returns to observation. Observe the child. Watch carefully. Look without judgment. Look without labels. Look without assumptions. Each child reveals who they are. Every child develops differently. The teacher's task is not to force development. The teacher's task is to support development. Observation becomes one of the teacher's greatest skills. The child becomes the curriculum. Part 11. The ultimate goal. Freedom. This may be the most important idea of the entire book. Education should lead toward freedom, not conformity, not obedience, not merely compliance. Freedom. A truly educated person can think independently, feel compassionately, act responsibly, choose consciously. Steiner believed that education should help individuals become self-directed human beings capable of contributing to society from their own deepest capacities. This is the heart of Waldorf education, and perhaps the heart of all true education. Part 12. What this means for parents. Even if you're not a teacher, these ideas matter. Parents are a child's first educators. Steiner reminds us children learn from what we do, not merely from what we say. Our habits teach, our relationships teach, our attitudes teach, our daily rhythms teach. Children are constantly learning from the environment we create. Part 13. What this means for all of us. Here's the surprising thing. This book is not only about children. It's about human development. Even as adults, we continue developing, thinking, feeling, willing, and continue learning, growing, becoming. Steiner's educational philosophy is really a philosophy of lifelong human development. The process never ends. If I could summarize the study of man into one sentence, it would be this. Understand the human being and education becomes possible. The child is not a machine to be programmed. The child is a living, growing human being unfolding through stages of development. The teacher's role is not to manufacture outcomes. The teacher's role is to create conditions in which human potential can flourish. And perhaps that is the deepest lesson Steiner offers us, not only as teachers, but as parents, as leaders, and as fellow human beings. Because education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. Thank you for joining me. Keep learning, keep growing, keep becoming. And I wish you love and peace, wisdom and understanding, and enjoy this day.